Merci beaucoup, Suzanne, Cole, Maïtreyi, belle lecture. Merci aussi d'avoir accepté de partager l'espace et le temps de la lecture avec Barrett et Carla. Je vais commencer par présenter Barrett Watten, qui est poète, critique, éditeur, qui publie de façon continue depuis les années 70. Il est notamment l'auteur de Frame, 1971-1990, de Bad History, de Progress Under Erasure, et plus récemment, d'un volume bilingue de textes choisis en anglais et en russe, Not This, Selected Writings. Il est l'auteur de 3 volumes d'essais critiques, Total Syntax en 1985, The Constructivist Moment en 2003 et Questions of Poetics en 2016. Il a participé à de nombreuses aventures collectives avec Michael Davidson, Lynn Hedginian et Ron Silliman. Il a écrit Leningrad, American Writers in the Soviet Union, bientôt disponible en traduction russe. Il a coordonné et publié un projet d'autobiographie collective en 10 volumes, composé par 10 membres du groupe Language, The Grand Piano and Experiment in Collective Autobiography, San Francisco, 1975-1980. Avec Lynn Hedginian, il a édité la revue Poetics Journal. Et demain matin, Barrett donnera à l'ENS une conférence intitulée A Poetics of Refunctioning, from Walter Benjamin to Lynn Hedginian, dans laquelle il présentera sa recherche sur les brouillons de la poétesse Lynn Hedginian pour son ouvrage Positions of the Sun, qui était paru en 2018. Mais ce soir, Barrett lira des extraits de Zone, Correlations, 1973-2021, paru chez Chax Press en 2025. Les 12 textes qui composent le volume sont produits par la corrélation de 2 textes, l'un servant à revisiter l'autre et inversement. En 1981 déjà, Barrett avait ainsi utilisé son poème Position pour échantillonner et interpréter des paragraphes de Guerre et paix de Tolstoï. Il en est résulté un nouveau texte, War of Position, qui constitue le 2e item dans Zone. C'est selon un principe similaire de sélection modulaire et de corrélation que Barrett a composé le programme de lecture de ce soir, manière de frayer de nouvelles voies dans ce volume, de générer de nouveaux sens. Barrett. Merci.
All right, so I'll do this. Is that okay? You all right? Yeah, okay. So this is zone, and it's a word you know from poetry, but it wasn't the source of my use of the word, actually. I started thinking about zone in Detroit. Zone had to do with the production hub that Detroit is, but also the relative isolation of Detroit, the boundaries, permeable boundaries that the mode of production created around itself. And so that was thinking about zone. And then another way of approaching it was through Patterson, Carlos Williams Patterson. And Patterson is, of course, was also supposed to be a zone of production. This one would go all the way back to the Industrial Revolution with Alexander Hamilton, and Williams was trying to work with that idea in his motif of the falls, and that was the sort of productivity of language, productivité. And at that point, zone started to pop everywhere, and so I'd read a book and the word zone would happen, and I'd write it in the margin, and then I'd read another book and zone kept on coming back. So in homage to the great poet, French poet, who wrote Zone, I'm going to read a series of works, and how I made this series was using a random number generator. Very easy. You put in the number that you want to randomize, like say 10. You push a button and you get a random number, and then a series happens. So this is a kind of a derive of the book. So there are no titles, and every one of the 12 works is repeated only once, except at the end there's a 13th. So this is reading for double change. Louison chante avec son doigt. La mort revient dans la mémoire. Do not look back on pain of. Un miroir est un principe ici. An idea. What do I want with? Qu'est-ce que je veux avec une? Irma Vep in cat burglar outfit predates all Paris on a rooftop. In the philosophical tradition, un poète manqué n'est pas un bête. The poet is the director of a film entirely in his head. I have been given no orders. There's a little room above the garage. You can park your car et attends qu'elle se montre. Je suis peut-être idiot, mais je suis sûr de certaines choses. Butter is bread on its other side of a toaster that cries for help. Opening credits for fait. Driving into the negative, then driving backwards. Je conduis à reculons dans le négatif. Et en avant. She passes me by in a convertible, slows down until she is in vocable range, giving me signs to pull over. La princesse est Urtebise. Un chauffeur ne donne pas ses propres ordres. Wake up. This is the car, and I'm driving. C'est geste. Won't you ever learn not to turn back? Les gens ont été transformés en piliers de sel for less. Character is destiny. The number 43 is up. Empty equivalents of capital replace a universal. We rage in our particularity against the blinding illumination of a uniform sky. The number 6 is up. Dreams divide into heavy traffic in extreme weather. Dan Rather signs off from the nightly news. Substitution and overwriting are the face of John Roberts. There is nothing to report. Logic and fiction conjoin in a univocal effect. The index of belief rises unbelievably. I refuse to accept any evidence of an outcome, even as every outcome is deferred. They will take a baseball bat to your wounded mattress, hurl a bowling ball into your metal firewall, spray toxic solvents onto your painted forehead, poison your impulse to resist. Inflation spirals upward through devaluing trends. The imported cheese is a loss leader. Our numbers add up, incalculable. Notice posted on the front door, I accept, do not accept. Alberta touches Saskatchewan. Saskatchewan senses Manitoba. Manitoba leans on Ontario. Ontario embraces Quebec. We lie breathlessly in the night with trading partners. There is trouble with your account. New information is requested. Do not reply to this message. It has been sent by an alien proxy. You will not be given another chance to reply. Sun melts snow on black asphalt, leaving the road clear for drivers. All necessary products have been supplied. The maintenance contracts signed, sealed, and delivered. Civilization has gone beyond discontent to paralysis. We are reduced to being global spectators of their drama of manipulated outcomes. Trauma is the law, the foundation of the social order, the only legitimate vocation, a pre-existing condition that opens a pathway to disease. Episode 5 is a bloody mess, a parody of Viennese actionism, in ritual spasms of bloodletting that access our pre-Christian past beyond guilt. There must be a secondary affect that provides the truth we seek, while the lack of explanation can only be recovered in its traumatic origins. In Iceland, the day is blue, reflecting off rolled steel in an abandoned warehouse where the victim, perpetrator, and agent will still meet. What motivates a sequence of events is not disclosed, but a gunshot rings out at the end of the episode and they refuse to watch any further. Narrative becomes a crevasse in which the body of a teenage boy who wandered away from the state orphanage will be found years later. Sudden discontinuities are tipping points, abrupt moments of change that occur in a non-linear fashion where the global system crosses a line. Such tipping points, which occur throughout history, may be promoted by biophysical feedback mechanisms into virtual tipping cascades. This writing is a vertiginous unfolding of manipulated outcomes, where each crosses a line to cancel any causal connection between them. Their nature is a manifold of nonlinear outcomes, each the expression of an underlying logic that is discontinuous from one to the next.
civilisation est passée du mécontentement à la paralysie. Nous sommes réduits à être des spectateurs mondiaux de leurs drames au dénouement manipulé. Le traumatisme fait loi, c'est le fondement de l'ordre social, la seule vocation légitime. Une affection préexistante qui ouvre la voie vers la maladie. L'épisode 5 est un carnage, une parodie d'actionnisme viennois, les spasmes rituels de la saignée donnant accès à notre passé pré-chrétien dénué de culpabilité. Il doit exister un affect secondaire qui donne la vérité que nous cherchons, quand l'absence d'explication ne se recouvre que dans ses origines traumatiques. En Islande, la lumière du jour est bleue et se reflète sur de l'acier laminé dans un entrepôt abandonné où la victime, le coupable et l'agent se rencontreront bientôt. Ce qui motive une suite d'événements n'est pas révélé, mais un coup de feu retentit à la fin de l'épisode et il refuse de continuer à regarder. Le récit devient une crevasse dans laquelle le corps d'un adolescent qui s'était éloigné de l'orphelinat public sera retrouvé des années plus tard. Les discontinuités soudaines sont des points de bascule, des moments de changement abrupt qui se produisent de manière non linéaire lorsque le système global franchit une limite. De tels points de bascule qui surviennent tout au long de l'histoire peuvent être amplifiés par des mécanismes de rétroaction biophysique en cascade de basculement virtuel. Ce texte est un déploiement vertigineux de dénouements manipulés où chacun franchit une limite pour annuler toute connexion causale entre elles. Leur nature est un ensemble de dénouements non linéaires, chacun étant l'expression d'une logique sous-jacente, discontinue de l'un à l'autre.
Adorno, Lacan, Seminar, Facebook, client, base, service, provision, question, answer, demand, lack, thousand, billion, light, dark, educate, words, memory, amnesia, some, ruins, like, language. Desire confronts a tyrant, an allegory of bad trade, balloon-like at the apex of gloire. A message goes out to the fandom, lacking clues, a curtain dividing gold from blank precarity, emitting mendacious impulses vomited from greed. The mind is an appendix with no reason to persist. A foreign register of darkness is put down, never to lit. Words attach to a palpable blankness, which, had it not been named, would have been identical to itself. Words interject a foreign element into all sameness.
Les mots s'attachent à un vide palpable qui, s'il n'avait pas été nommé, aurait été identique à lui-même. Les mots introjectent un élément étranger dans toute similitude.
I understand the necessity here. It is to disclose the position of the author, distribute it among materials. The authorship resulting will only be the more grand, its risks bordering on the sublime. Let us, therefore, refigure all authorship as a form of displacement that we might take up the task of reinventing the world, solidarity and unlikeness forever, with a world to win.
Je comprends ici la nécessité. Il s'agit de révéler la position de l'auteur, de la distribuer parmi les matériaux. L'autorialité qui en résulte n'en sera que plus vaste, ses risques touchant au sublime. Refigurons donc toute autorialité comme une forme de déplacement afin de pouvoir entreprendre la tâche de réinventer le monde. Solidarité dans la dissemblance à jamais, avec un monde à gagner.
You who are at rest cannot comprehend movement.
Vous qui êtes au repos ne pouvez comprendre le mouvement.
Those who risk only movement make a fatal error. There is no second-order comprehension for them.
Ceux qui ne risquent que le mouvement commettent une erreur fatale. Il n'existe pour eux aucune compréhension de second ordre.
Writing provides an inevitable dissociation of order. In regular lines, writing unlinks all that it aligns, with the only proviso being that one thing follow another. The act of writing itself declares a period of time, just as any other period of time is declared. But not any period of time, once declared, may be set forth in writing. It both does and does not record the day.
L'écriture produit une dissociation inévitable de l'ordre. En ligne régulière, l'écriture dissocie tout ce qu'elle aligne, avec pour seule condition qu'une chose en suive une autre. L'acte même d'écrire déclare une période de temps, comme toute autre période de temps, est déclarée. Et toute période, une fois déclarée ainsi, ne peut être consignée par écrit. Elle consigne et ne consigne pas la date simultanément.
The horizon of language unfolds from the complexity in which we are embedded. But on whose authority does it so unfold? He who first decided to exit from it, to find an alternative to our complexity in language. Thus, standing outside, he tries to order its complexity along the lines of his decision to do so. In so doing, he declares the properties of a language that is not natural. Here, I offer you one brick. Take it as a word, as the basis for a language of 800 bricks. Every error follows error to construct a new language of bricks.
L'horizon du langage se déploie à partir de la complexité dans laquelle nous sommes immergés. Mais sous l'autorité de qui se déploie-t-il ainsi? Celui qui a d'abord décidé d'en sortir, de trouver dans le langage une alternative à notre complexité. Se tenant ainsi à l'extérieur, il tente d'ordonner cette complexité selon les principes de sa décision. Ce faisant, il énonce les propriétés d'un langage qui n'est pas naturel. Ici, je vous offre une brique. Prenez-la comme un mot, comme la base d'un langage de 800 briques. Chaque erreur en appelle une autre pour construire un nouveau langage de briques. Un mot dont l'étiquette est collée à la chose, définition de l'inutile. Ce n'est qu'en la décollant que nous aurons une chance de la rattacher. Mais cela ne ferait que nous engager dans un labeur inutile et injustifié. Ainsi, le langage doit être compris comme conventionnel, il s'avère.
The ground on which he seeks to found his empire, an unstable ground of language that is incapable of representing a thing. Language thereby splits into a productively unstable ground, always issuing forth, a chasm between one uncertain state and another. Breaks in continuity are a compelling distress that issues forth an illusion of continuity to begin with. He is immersed in the plenitude surrounding him, compelled to break with it, nonetheless to escape. Und die ganze Welt hoch, and hurrah for the entire world. At the edge of the road stood an oak, probably 10 times the age of the birches that formed the forest. It was 10 times as thick and twice as tall as they. It was an enormous tree, its girth twice as great as a man could embrace, and evidently long ago some of its branches had been broken off and its bark scarred. With its huge, ungainly limbs sprawling unsymmetrically, and its gnarled hands and fingers, it stood an aged, stern, and scornful monster among the smiling birch trees. Only the dead-looking evergreen firs dotted about in the forest and this oak refused to yield to the charm of spring, or notice either the spring or the sunshine. If all lyric poetry is a dated event, it is for Ceylon an effacement of datedness itself toward a being in the present. What then to make of the persons that populate the poem, their simultaneous multivocity, a word that appears outside the text? On a certain date in the 21st century, accompanied by a friend, I attended a one-person recital of Buchner's Lenz in Berlin. I read the meridian itself as the productive gap between the event and text, the halves of life that concern Ceylon. The form of Hölderlin's poem is evenly divided between a lush, desiring landscape and the withdrawal of vital force in the shape of language. In the textual apparatus, notes, revisions, and fragments pile up in minor variations centering around a concept that cannot be named in itself. The most affecting line of the first stanza, Untrunken von Küssen, is overturned entirely by the last, Klirren die Fahnen. Likewise, the pure presence of the dateless event as lyric absolute is undermined by textual fragments that pull away from it. In his apparatus, we read in a counter-movement, the poetic as precarious, reciprocal cathexis, narrowing, each takes their place or is refused in the final draft. The meridian is organized as a parallel to the half of life, as pure product of a text that survives and the missing parts that exceed it. As in a dream, an empty gray arena ringed by a crowd of onlookers on tiers of seats. As an example, Space is an extent of imagination, a mode of learning distributed over time in a series. I am following a long empty corridor, not intending to glorify human choice, to give an order, because there may be thoughts, intentions, and cruel hopes in my mind mixed with water, of which I can know nothing, because I am a murderer unawares to make cement. It is his pleasure to write what he thinks, to be thinking along with it, force of a pulley. It is her dilemma to speak of a condition she can know nothing about, as the rope. A name unfamiliar to me had been underlined in red, Andre Berton, striking a flame. Our names are only ghosts of ourselves, of our acts, our past histories, breaking down. A new discovery can but follow from our discontinuous prompts.
Comme dans un rêve, une arène grise et vide entourée d'une foule de spectateurs assis sur des gradins. À titre d'exemple, l'espace est une étendue de l'imagination, un mode d'apprentissage distribué dans le temps. Dans une série, je suis un long couloir vide dans l'intention de glorifier le choix humain. Donner un ordre, parce qu'il peut y avoir des pensées, des intentions et des espoirs cruels dans mon esprit. Mélanger avec de l'eau, dont je ne peux rien savoir car je suis un meurtrier sans le savoir. Faire du ciment, il prend plaisir à écrire ce qu'il pense et à penser avec cela. Force d'une poulie, son dilemme est de parler d'une condition qu'elle ne peut connaître. Comme la cordée. Un nom qui m'était inconnu avait été souligné en rouge, André Berton. Frapper une flamme. Nos noms ne sont que les fantômes de nous-mêmes, de nos actes, de nos histoires passées. S'effondrer, une nouvelle découverte ne peut que suivre nos impulsions discontinues.
In the reception room, all the patients are men, wearing their class on their sleeves. The data are an event, but not our destiny. 50-50 rule of means end, neither one achieved, no matter how many voted. The numbers refuse to add up to a predicted measure. We feel the data as an inertial weight, making things strange, out of all proportion. They cry out for Plan B, to rescue themselves. My South Asian daughter cannot weep out of state and drives non-stop. Open fields of meaning, hemmed in by borders, increasingly insecure. After Article 50, they invoke Gleichschaltung as an irreversible force of inevitable decline. Compelled, they cannot help their own destruction. Domination follows competition. Force, guile, irony, stress, even if it is what is, do not normalize. Seek Plan B, if only to recalculate your life. Expatriation follows alienation to find an alternative existence elsewhere. Nothing follows nothing. The rights of woman traduced by lords of misrule. The rights of man, a gutted document of burned parchment. The gradual wearing down of words or sounds in a language. It sticks to the page, cast upon a white wall. Various dissociated lives caught up in a web. The pictures are set off by the frames. A clear tone breaking down to weaker overtones. Multiple envelopes projected through glass. Conflict is written, losing nerves, soundness, his opera amusement and prosperity. He felt better afterwards. Various dissociated water caught up in a web. Orphée, there is no person. You are not a person, having no right to personhood. Only Louis dont les mots peuvent tuer. I overstepped my authority. What do you say in response? Ce n'était que circonstanciel. Unperson at the wrong time. Unperson writes a not poem. We are the pseudo-universals that make our laws. Perhaps il n'y a pas de peut-être ici. Come forward. Je ne voulais pas désobéir. Your profession, poet. The card says writer. What do you mean by poet? The poet is he who writes for anyone to know it is written. On peut-être n'importe qui. It could even be Urtubise. C'est la non-identité en soi that speaks solely pour soi. You are now free to go, but on condition never to speak. Vous avez les gants, Mettez-les. They are merely an illustration signifying the burning of Paris during the Commune of 1871. The 0 hour is rare in life, at which we begin again, using artificial means, une traduction of 0 hour, any time of life. Au-delà de la trahison d'éclair, his compliance may be possible to observe under watchful eye with continuous supervision. Here, Eros is raised to a power of abstract laws and destiny. C'est effrayant, dit Eutebise. It is the mirror of culpability. Well,
Thank you.